Okay, let's get started. Good morning, everyone. And particularly, I'm pleased to see so many city leaders here, as well as students from our local schools. Welcome to the Asian Art Museum. And my name is Chiu, Director of the Asian Art Museum. I will serve as the MC for today's press conference. And on behalf of the staff and the board of the Asian Art Museum, we welcome you in the backdrop of an upcoming exhibition, Bali Art Ritual Performance, that will be open to our public in February the 25th. This is the first time in the history of the United States that the Indonesian culture, particularly the culture of the island of Bali, will be presented in such a magnificence to our public, not only to serve the public in our local community, but also all the visitors from all over the world. This is a wonderful example of the value and the service our museum provides to our community. That we are the platform of culture exchange, we're the platform for education, we're the platform for cultural diplomacy. And for over the many decades, this museum has served this wonderful functions, and we'll continue to serve this function, and we'll continue to be increasingly more robust in our service to the public. As you know, our museum is governed under dual boards. One is the Asian Art Commission, the other is the Asian Art Museum Foundation, the foundation being the private fundraising arm for the museum. And the bond that the museum originally took out in 2000 has been in difficulty, and this has been very much in the news lately. Under the leadership of our city and the leadership of our commission and the foundation board, today we are pleased to present to the public a proposal to solve the bond issue that confronting the foundation of the Asian Art Museum. So let me introduce to you today's the leaders from our city, Mayor Gavin Newsom, City Attorney Dennis Herrera, our former Mayor Willie Brown, and Akiko Yamazaki, the President of the Asian Art Museum Foundation, as well as the Vice Chair for the Asian Art Commission, Carmen Chu, our City Supervisor, Ben Rosenfield, our City Controller, and Nadia Sese, our City Public Finance Director. Welcome you to all. Now, without further ado, let me give you our Mayor, Gavin Newsom.
Appreciate it, Jay. Thank you all for taking the time to be here. This is an important moment. We have been working very, very diligently, very hard behind the scenes in the last number of months to try to solve a bump in the road in terms of the fate and future of this extraordinary museum, the finest collection of Asian art artifacts anywhere in North America. We are very proud of this museum, proud of its place in the history of our city, and proud of the contributions of Asian Americans that have really built this extraordinary place. In fact, last year, I gave my State of the City here purposely in order to highlight and enumerate so many of those accomplishments and so many of those contributions. So it went without saying that when we were first made aware of some of the challenges that were taking place and taking shape here, that the city family came together very quickly to try to help work through those challenges. We are blessed to have not only outstanding current leadership, but outstanding leadership that was formerly here but continues to be represented in the private sector, particularly Mayor Willie Brown was one of the first calls that we made. Dennis Herrera and his team were magnificent and immediately asserted themselves into the negotiation to advance our efforts to get us to this moment. And of course, we are blessed, as was the case that I made when he was originally appointed our controller, that there are few people better than Ben Rosenfield in terms of his capacity to understand issues, complex issues, and bring us together around a solution. He, in particular, partnering with Nadia Sese and our bond counsel were able to organize a framework, working with J.P. Morgan, working with MBIA, working with Dennis Herrera and his team, working with Willie Brown, and then working very collaboratively with Carmen Chu and other leaders on the Board of Supervisors, David Chiu, to get us to a point where we can confidently say the fate and future of this museum is now significantly secured. The challenge now, yes, you can applaud on that. I was supposed to, in applause lines for all you guys, you're supposed to pause for applause, and I didn't do that. So that's the lesson from high school students that are here. But in order to make real what I just said, we recognize we have to do things differently because we can find our way right back here in a number of years. And that's why I'm confident in the statement I just made. We are also announcing a new team of people, and that's notably why Mayor Brown is here, because he is committed to lead a civic effort to help significantly enhance the foundation's already good work to raise additional money for this museum. Mayor Brown and Dennis Herrera in particular are co-chairing that effort, and I, as the future ex-mayor in hours, perhaps days, will also be committed as a co-chair of that effort with Carmen Chu and others to go out there and to seek to reach out not only within the San Francisco community, but throughout the Bay Area, the state, nation, and for that matter, around the world, to raise the tens of millions of dollars that need to be raised by this foundation in order to put it on more permanent financial footing. So really the purpose of the day was to celebrate the work that's been done and to make the case that there's a lot of work that needs to continue to be done, and we've got the right people to do it. But I will close by, again, thanking those that are about to come up and speak for their remarkable leadership and commitment. Again, thank you, Dennis Herrera. Thank you to Ben Rosenfield. Thank you to Nadia Sase. Thank you to Steve Cava, my chief of staff. And thank you to Carmen Chu and notably former Mayor Willie Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The next speaker will be our City Attorney, Dennis Herrera.
Thank you, Jay. And first, I want to thank Mayor Gavin Newsom. I think it was notable to hear that he didn't just give out assignments, even though he's going to be ascending to the Lieutenant Governor's office. Mayor Brown and I were talking about how we just got that assignment. But I think it's notable that Mayor Newsom said he's going to continue to be involved. And I think that is testimony to the leadership that he has shown throughout what has been a difficult time over the last couple of months. There was a tremendous amount of work that has gone on in ensuring the security of this museum going forward. And Mayor Gavin Newsom and Steve Cava, his chief of staff, deserve a tremendous amount of the credit for showing the leadership to make sure that we were all brought together to focus on getting a common solution that ensured the viability of this institution. So I want to thank them for their leadership. Ben Rosenfield, who does a tremendous amount of the heavy lifting, and Jesse Smith, my chief assistant, who did a lot of the negotiating with the financial institutions to make sure that everybody had a little bit of skin in the game here. The fact of the matter is, and I think Mayor Newsom alluded to, there's a lot of people that are going to have to do a lot more work to ensure that long-term we have the security that we have focused on here in the short to medium term. It's going to take leadership from the city family. I applaud what the financial institutions have done in terms of showing their commitment, but it's going to need the commitment of all of us in the city to assure that this iconic institution continues to provide an outlet for learning about Bali and learning about Shanghai and Japanese art, not just for students that are here now, but for people and generations going forward. Because this is an iconic institution that doesn't just serve San Franciscans. It is a world-recognized leader. People come from all over the world to learn about Asian art. And that is the population that this great institution under Jay Chiu's leadership provides for people throughout the world. And it's going to be incumbent on us, working with the Museum Foundation, to do what we need to do to go out and make the case to the greater populace as to why they need to financially support this institution and assure that in a few years from now, we are not in the same place. I think that everybody has done their part, and it's up to us as a community to show that we value what is an iconic institution and provides world leadership for people throughout the world who have an interest in Asian art. So it's a wonderful result. I want to thank Mayor Newsom, Mayor Brown for coming out of retirement, so to speak, to make sure that he's going to continue to help us in that fundraising effort. And I applaud everybody for the great work that they have done to assure that 15, 20, 50, 100 years from now, that this institution continues to be the world leader in educating generations of San Franciscans about the importance of Asian art. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Dennis, for the wonderful speech. I remember it was before my time, but I remember it's our Mayor Brown who unveiled this wonderful building, this museum in the Civic Center to the people in San Francisco. So once again, he's with us. So let's welcome Mayor Brown.
When Mayor Newsom telephoned me and asked if I would be available to participate in the effort to make sure that all San Franciscans assumed collectively the responsibility to put this institution on sound financial grounds now and going forward, obviously I could not turn down that request, and I suspect every other San Franciscan would do likewise. He told me that the city attorney's office was going to do what needed to be done or to make sure that we would have the opportunity to do it, and he said that there were some people already pledged on the foundation side to be a part of that effort. Obviously, it's going to take lots and lots of hard work, but it's frankly a joy to be a part of maintaining and hopefully perpetuating one of the flagship cultural institutions in this city. This city is about culture. This city is about pride and ethnic heritage. This city is about an appreciation of the extraordinary talent of people on the art side. And to have 6,000-year-old pieces that you can see no other place in the world, and to have the Brundage collection here. You understand that the Brundage collection could have been dropped anywhere in the world. That's how powerful Avery Brundage really was. He chose us to be the caretaker of those 17,000 pieces, or whatever the number happens to be. We can do no less than justify that by being successful at raising what Dennis Herrera tells me is somewhere in the neighborhood of $25 million. That's a small figure compared to what we have raised for the DeYoung Museum, what the Fisher family gave for the expansion of the Museum of Modern Art, what was raised for the Contemporary Jewish Museum, what we're trying to raise for the museum that will reflect the culture of the Hispanic world of San Francisco and beyond. All these institutions come together in one fashion or another and makes this part of the most wonderful place on earth in which to live. Mr. Mayor, I'm proud that from your lieutenant governorship, if and when it begins, you still want to be a part of this wonderful city. Dennis and Carmen and the rest of us are certainly going to welcome you, because I know that there's going to be a celebration in the not-too-distant future. We will do what we do at my church. We burn the mortgage. We're going to burn the mortgage.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mayor Brown. And throughout this process, not only we have a tremendous leadership from Mayor's Cabinet, from City Attorney's Office, but also from Board of Supervisors. And with us, who have just arrived, is our President of our Board of Supervisors, David Chiu. Let's welcome David. Yeah.
Thank you, Jay. First of all, I want to thank all of you for being here at this wonderful announcement. And I want to thank all of my colleagues from the public sector world and your leadership for really helping to rescue this incredible institution. As Mayor Brown just said, and I don't need to restate it, this institution is of critical importance to the arts world, to the Asian community, to really the storytelling of who we are as human beings. I am so honored to be an Asian American representative here in San Francisco and to have the largest arts collection in the Western world in our city, across the street from where I work. It is truly special. And to have the 6,000-year history as depicted in the 17,000 artifacts that are here, I don't think any of us can question our fortune. And so the work that was done to pull together this very complicated negotiation and to get where we are today, I want to thank the mayor and our city attorney. I want to thank Ben Rosenfield and Nadia Sasay. I want to thank my colleagues on the board. I commit to you as the president of the Board of Supervisors, along with my colleagues, that we are going to do what we need to get this done at the Board of Supervisors. So again, we can hopefully within short order right the financial situation here and get this back on the footing that we need to hopefully be an institution that will be around for another 6,000 years. Thank you for being here.
Our next speaker will be Akiko Yamazaki, the president of the Foundation of the Asian Art Museum and the vice chair of the Asian Art Commission.
On behalf of the Asian Art Museum Foundation, I express our deep gratitude to Mayor Newsom, Mayor Brown, City Attorney Dennis Herrera, Controller Ben Rosenfield, and other city officials for their leadership in facilitating a solution towards servicing the Foundation's debt. We deeply appreciate the city's assistance and support toward ensuring the Foundation's financial health during these difficult economic challenges. The city's support is for a wealthy cause. For nearly 40 years, the Asian Art Museum Foundation has provided much-needed financial support for the museum. This support has enabled the museum to successfully fulfill its mission of leading a diverse global audience in discovering the unique material, aesthetic, and intellectual achievements of the Asian art and culture. Over the years, millions of museum visitors have experienced the museum's world-renowned collection, truly one of the city's most valuable assets, as well as a rich array of public programs for all ages, including generations of school children and older. The city's plan for strengthening the museum's financial position will make sure that the Foundation can continue these efforts for future generations. A successful capital campaign requires leadership, vision, and a worthwhile goal. The Foundation is well positioned to fulfill its role in supporting the museum's future endeavors. The Foundation's leadership, led by our chair, Anthony Sun, has developed a framework of a strategic plan that aims to bolster the museum's commitment to serving our community. The plan also intends to maintain the organization's financial health through robust fundraising, while also ensuring that the museum continues to use its resources in the most effective manner. We fully recognize the challenge that lay ahead, but are confident our donors, supporters, and members will support us as they have in the past. The Foundation welcomes the leadership of the city in helping us achieve our goal, and also thanks the Board of Supervisors that have shown us strong support of the Mayor's proposal. Thank you very much.
Let's welcome Supervisor Carmen Chu.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for all the individuals who've come today. Today, as you know, is a day that we can celebrate a path forward for the Asian Art Museum. I do want to take a little bit of time to make sure to thank the people who have been so crucial in making sure that this day is here. Mayor Gavin Newsom and your staff for truly leading this effort and for all of your attention to this. Even over the winter holidays, I know his staff was working diligently through this, and so really a big thank you to you. To Dennis Herrera and to his staff, his fine team who've been working very diligently to make sure that all the terms are correct, that we have the best deal for the city. I want to say thank you to you. To the board president and to the members of the board who have always supported the Asian Art Museum. This is a good day for us. To the Asian Foundation, thank you very much. And of course to our Controller Ben Rosenfield and to Nadia Sase, truly we wouldn't be here without all of your hard work, and I can't underscore that enough. Today, I simply want to have just two messages aside from the thanks. One is just how important the Asian Art Museum is to San Francisco and to our history. San Francisco and Asian American community, as you know, is intricately linked. We've had a huge history here, and one of the things that this museum represents to me personally is it's not just an Asian art museum that shows Bali and shows the Shanghai exhibit. It is my history. It's a history from where my parents came, where many San Franciscans have come. And so if there's any message that I'd like to leave today is that for my Lincoln High School Mustangs out there, for the communities in the Richmond, Bayview, Hunters Point, Visitation Valley, this is not my museum alone. It's your museum. This is San Francisco's history. This is your history. Please come and support the museum. Please make sure that this is going to be here in your generation and for our kids. So again, thank you to the tremendous leadership we've seen today, and thank you in advance to the community for their support.
Thank you so very much, Supervisor Carmen Chu, for wonderful remarks. Now I think we've all been waiting to hear from our City Controller, Ben Rosenfield, about key points of the proposal to restructure the foundation's bond.
That would be the first time that people were actually waiting to hear me speak, Jay. I'm just happy to be here today because it means we've found a solution to a set of problems that really threaten the viability and vitality of this wonderful institution. So more than anything, I'm pleased that collectively we've gotten to that point. I will very briefly talk through some of the high points of the deal, just so folks are aware of them, and I know that there will be a press release afterwards that will be distributed that describes it in more detail. But fundamentally, this is a complicated negotiated agreement that involves 5 different parties, very, very quickly worked out under very challenging circumstances and executed just this morning. That's still subsequent to some board approvals, the approval of our Board of Supervisors, the approval of the Foundation Board of Directors, and several others. But the deal is set. And really what it fundamentally does, of the $120 million in outstanding debt that the Foundation formerly held, the lenders have forgiven $21 million of that 120. So approaching 20% of the debt has simply been written off. Secondly, $13 million approximately in collateral that the foundation had been required to post with JP Morgan under the terms of the old financial arrangement are returned to the foundation. And the form of that underlying agreement is ripped up. Secondly, so the amount of outstanding debt is reduced. Secondly, what is outstanding is then refinanced under more stable terms. So the former financing was a variable rate financing subject to interest rate fluctuation that would change the payments that the foundation was due to pay every year. It's been restructured now as a stable, fixed, 30-year loan at 4.6%, which is a very competitive interest rate, and is free of some of the other financial bells and whistles that had served to really create some of the challenge with the former financing. Third, the third component, the foundation commits, with the assistance of our elected city leadership, to raise $20 million over the next several years to meet the remaining gap on this financing. And then lastly, the city enters into this agreement and provides certain assurances to the lenders necessary to make this financing work. In essence, we lend our credit rating to this deal. So it involves a give from all parties. I do think, in the words of the city attorney, it's hard to find, but this is a good deal for each of the 5 parties involved, and it wouldn't have happened without the participation and leadership of each. So, again, I'm happy to be here. I appreciate the leadership of everyone that's talked before me, and look forward to more stable financial footing for the foundation and this wonderful museum in years ahead. Thank you.
Once again, on behalf of the staff and the board of the Asian Art Museum, I cannot say enough our gratitude to our civic leaders, Mayor Newsom, City Attorney Herrera, President of Board of Supervisors David Chiu, Supervisor Carmen Chu, our City Controller Ben Rosenfield, and our City Public Finance Director Nadia Sese, and many other city colleagues that have go without being mentioned. And all the things come together from the museum, from the city, from our partners in the banking community, come together to develop this proposal. About the value of the museum, I cannot say any better than our civic leaders, starting with the mayor, have already said about the wonderful importance of this museum. So we are very motivated to work together to move the process forward. At the same point, I would like to also acknowledge some of the staff members on the museum staff who have worked diligently on this deal, particularly our COO, CFO, Mark McLaughlin. Mark is right there. Thank you. So, thank you very much. Come back to visit us at Bali, and once again, you will experience a wonderful art from Asia and the interconnectivity between Asia and the life in America, particularly life in this wonderful city we call San Francisco. Our leaders here will be available for interviews afterward for questions. Thank you very much for coming.